Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Yang, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side so once we have all the updates and news, and just like this video today, you'll be the one getting notification with. Obviously there has been a lot of debates. You probably have seen my previous videos, and if you have been a subscriber and fan of this channel long enough, you may notice that I really don't like the way how Australian politicians are playing the topic about migration or skilled migrants. They always do that. Once the left and the right trying to fight together against each other, migration seems to be always the key topic to be brought in. Now, we've learned from our previous video, and if you have been, well, if you're in Australia already, you probably know that a referendum is coming up. So the politician from the left and right is throwing rocks at each other, perhaps missiles at each other, and the people got actually hurt and, well, you know, be dismantled will be the general public and obviously the skilled migrants as well. So in this video I'd like to discuss a topic whether, now obviously you notice in Australia there has been talking about the housing crisis caused by the migrants, and on the late, I think it was 26th of April, late April, the Minister of Home Affairs Claire O'Neill said this.
Professor Brian Schmidt is the Vice-Chancellor of Australian National University and one of the finest minds of his generation. He came to Australia in the 1990s and he was granted a visa in 4 days. Today's world-leading young astrophysicist would wait many months just to get an answer out of our current system, and that's if she or he were lucky and could find their occupation on the rigid skills list. So we can probably assume that today's Brian Schmidt would take their Nobel Prize and move to Canada instead. And that is a national tragedy. And that is a national tragedy.
And that is a national tragedy.
Well, you heard that. They said it was a national tragedy. Well, is that a national tragedy then? Would it be now? Or perhaps it's continuing going as a national tragedy of Australia. Now let's have a look back in the days and really think about whether if the government of Australia turns off the migration tab, that will really sort the housing crisis, or perhaps even the inflation, whatever the topic they wanted to, you know, throw in the racks at each other. They always try to pick on migrants, which is really unfair, and I'm here with all of you, and I believe my topics and the things that I discuss about really strikes on the heart of all the skilled migrants and the families who have the interest in Australia. Now let's wind back a little bit. I've done this in my previous video, but I wanted to really wind back a little bit and see how this had actually been going. And this has been actually been going for a long time. Now, this is an ABC News, as you may see. The content has expired because this is back in 2018 November. Now, what happened in 2018 November, as you can read on the topic, that the former Prime Minister Scott Morrison warns permanent migration needs to be cut to ease what? City congestions. Well, that was the key topic they've been talking about back in 2018. Now they have swapped that title and replaced it with housing crisis. Now, whether or not, I'm not going to go into detail because this is all backdated stuff. So as you can see, it was 190,000. Now currently, the Australian permanent intake is 190,000. They talk about 190. It seems to be the magic number. They were just never going over 200k. Now, back in 2018, that was the magic number, and they have pulled everything down back to 160,000. If you recall, well, probably won't. I mean, I've been in this industry long enough to actually, memorize all this crap that the politician has proposed over the years. So in 2018, they talk about cutting the permanent intake because of what? City congestions. All right. So did it really actually sort out city congestions? Now, obviously, in 2020, COVID came. Australia, the former Prime Minister Scott Morrison asked all the migrants to leave the country. Yes, we all know that. So the border was closed, obviously, and I believe that will be thousands and thousands of people. I think hundreds and thousands of people left Australia. So you probably will think, and that's no migrant. They won't. There was probably no intake back then. Did it sorted the city congestions? Now let's have a look. All right, so I pick up this news. Now this is 2021, May 17th. You can see that right there. 2021, May 17th. Okay, came from The Guardian. Now, what happened in 2021, May 17th? Obviously, that was at the center, at the middle period of pandemic. So no international student, no migrants. All right. Now the topic reads how COVID changed the way Australians move. Well, I thought that's yeah, it did, because there's a lot of checkings and restrictions. More traffic jam, less public transport. Joking? There was technically very, very limited migrants back in 2021, May. And there were still traffic jam. And this is not just one city. Let's pick on the west side of Australia, Western Australia. That's the least populated major city of Australia, Perth. Now, this is back in 2021, January. That's even in the middle of the pandemic. What's happening? The title reads Western Australia, and there are a lot more. You can find a lot more news. You're more than welcome to go there and find out. During pandemic, there was limited migrants, well, like including international students, because they cannot technically come to Australia to study. So you may thought that it will sort out the city congestion. So Western Australia using car more as roads struggle with COVID demands of cost and congestion rise. So what is really the issue on city congestion? Was it really caused as what the former Prime Minister said? Permanent migration needs to be cut to ease city congestion. Was that really the reason caused by the migrants? Or probably the government of Australia, whether it's going to be city council, local, state or federal, should really think about improving and expanding the public infrastructure. For example, high-speed rail along the east coast probably can sort out a lot of things. I just don't understand how Sydney killed the SkyTrain, and also they just add on another light rail, light train inside of the city. I don't know how that will actually improve congestions. Not too sure. I mean, expanding the railway is good, but what about extending the railway into high-speed rail between major cities? How will that go? I was talking to one of my friends who we talked about the traffic, the little light rail going in Gold Coast. He said, well, my experience is the same. We have never really stepped into that light rail at all. Is it really convenient? Does it really sort out the congestion issue? I think it's a question mark. Whether or not it's more of a tourist, attraction kind of public infrastructure. Probably they need to revamp. Again, this is all based on the news article coming from Australia, not me. my comments always have things to be backed up. So so what happened back in 2018? The government then said the city is too congested. Let's cut the migrations. So what happened? We got COVID. There's limited, technically no, offshore migrants entering to Australia. And what happened? The congestion was still there. Did they really sort it out? Now this time they have swapped the title. They have swapped the phrase. No more city congestion. They're talking about housing crisis. Obviously, housing crisis is an issue, but is it really caused by the migrants? Question mark, right? Now let's have a look. Some of the news that I have also gathered for you over this weekend. So this is from the Consultation, and this is most recent one. Where is the date? I think that's somewhere down here. Okay, August 28th 2023. So it's just last month. So you may Google this, you can find this. I think this is the right stuff that people should really focus on. Thinking about curbing overseas migration will end housing crisis. It won't, and we can't afford to do it. Pretty obvious. Now, why did I say can't afford to do it? I think we can find that answers pretty easily. A lot of people have been to Australia. Now, it's a taboo. It's a taboo to talk about the real issue in Australia. Now, what is the real issue? Let me show you, and I think a lot of you will agree with me. Now, I'll also put my comment, my analysis at the end of this video as well. Check this out. Now, this is an interview on the leader of One Nation Party, Pauline Hanson, who has been a long-term running opposing migrations and a little bit racist, should be a way. But anyway, she's the Senate. So on the May 7th of 2023, it's pretty tiny, but I can read it out. It's really there. You can find this out by Google it. Now, what did she say? She said a lot of Australians are too lazy to work. Is this the real scenario and what's happening in Australia? I think a lot of people will nod their head. So One Nation leader Pauline Hanson says a lot of Australians are too lazy to find a job and work because they want a lifestyle paid by the taxpayer. We're going to be left behind because you're going to have people coming out here from other countries to take a job that belong to Australians. At the end of the day, you won't have the taxpayers' money on the country to be paid of your lifestyle anymore. So what is the real problem here? I mean, a lot of people can tell me the real problem is probably the Australians are too lazy. Now, I didn't say that. Pauline, the leader, the Senate of Australia, said that. She basically said, if you're too lazy, a lot of people from other countries are going to take your job. Now, that doesn't mean the migrant coming into Australia to take your job. That probably means a lot of business will took off. They probably won't like to be in Australia. They will be somewhere else. They're probably going to Malaysia, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, USA. Talking about the semiconductor, what about the advanced manufacturing? Can Australia afford to really have advanced manufacturing if the Australians are too lazy? Okay, I didn't say that. It's the Senate saying that. Now that's not just what she said, and this is not a phenomenon that's just came out, last month or in May. Now this from Straits Times. Workers have been too arrogant, lazy, and must be taught a painful lesson, says who? The Aussie tycoon. And this is in September. This most recent. That's last month as well. You may want to Google this news. I'm not going to go into detail of the article as well. And this is not just the phenomenon currently. You may do your own research. And I found this from Sydney Morning Herald. This is back at 2014. Lazy Aussie just don't want to work, right? So whose problem is it? So if they don't want to work, and there's a housing crisis going on, how are we going to sort out this problem? I think I'll leave this question to everybody. Now, my analysis, my assessment, to be truthful, it is a national crisis going on and has been there for the past 10-20 years. I don't think the politician of Australia has been really thoughtful to work things out, but obviously there's a lot of domestic challenges there that we just gone through. A politician coming out throwing different topics. The first one was the city congestion, now the housing crisis, blaming the migrant. What I'm trying to say is blaming the migrant won't help. Now, I don't really 100% agree. I don't really 100%. What I'm trying to say, I disagree that all the Australians are lazy. I've seen, and I got friends who are local Aussies. They work really hard. But what the other side of politicians, when the election comes, they always want to paint a different picture, trying to win the vote. The problem here is, I think Pauline Hanson was really correct. If you've been too lazy, you don't want to work, the work will be taken by someone else or some other countries, and that's the fact. Now, if they don't want migrants and there's housing crisis, if we cut the migrants, would they cure the housing crisis? I don't think so, and that's exactly what the Western Australian government wants. They want a lot of construction related workers and skilled workers to go to Western Australia to help to build the state. Now, you may argue, where are all the Aussies? Are they too lazy? I'm not too sure, but I'll leave that all to all of you, and you may love to leave a comment right down below, but don't argue towards each other, or don't fight, or no swear words in this channel. Anyway, more question, query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below. I'll see you next video. Goodbye.